They say that in space no one can hear you scream. What they can hear is the gnashing of mandibles and wailing those... I'll read that again. What they can hear is the gnashing of mandibles and wailing, though, as Tharg seems to be a bit angry about something. To help him feel better, we've sent him a link to this very show on Galtwit. We're hoping he doesn't take that as an insult, and we're hoping that he's tuning in for a little space news. But before that, it's time for the start of the show. So in our most soothing tone, we say...
Our mics are live. Good evening. I'm Wilma Fingerdoo, and I'm loving being around people. Lots of people. Definitely no isolation being a Hutton trucker. And keeping me company in the studio tonight, we've got...
the ever so sociable Hutton Apology Officer. I'm Mia Harkness, and I love having lots of people around to apologise for.
I'm Poincaré, and if there weren't lots of truckers about, no one would be about to admire the new wax I'm using on my moustache. There are many moustaches out there, especially as it's November, but this one is the best one. Don't you agree?
Definitely. I'm Norma Snockers, and, well, if there weren't lots of truckers about, my backswing would be silent. And we can't be having that, can we? Here, I'll demonstrate.
Ow! Ow. Well, I'm Sir Sandy of Crevice. Apparently Alvin's appointed me to the other place in a hurry. Don't know why, but he's sent me an ermine-trimmed working jacket, a new lead, and a set of instructions about things I should say to Lael when I go into her office. Something about a pledge of allegiance and a promise that I'll be sent to foreign systems to be photographed looking worried about stuff. I've been given a nice flak jacket too, so I'm not sure how worried I should be.
Well, now that we're all assembled in company, and might even have Tharg the Mighty tuning in...
Hello, Tharg! Sorry about all the escapees.
Yes, hello Tharg. And now, time for the headlines. A few weeks late for Halloween, but Wolf Fesh is back in the galaxy.
The isolation of Tharg hits bestseller charts.
Too hot, too messy, survives digital attack.
Fort Mug pulls up the drawbridge.
A report from the most improved inmate.
Look, if anyone else looks at me and says Movember, you're gonna get a nut. It's the BGS.
Here at Hutton, we're a fan of rares. Of course, it all started with the fabled Hutton mug and its beverage warming frameshift flight accompanying only mildly radioactive heat. Of course, with that and the takeover of the system came the Centauri Megagen, the ultimate tipple for the tired space trucker, served with a mixer, or without, and capable of not only being the drink of choice of space hobos, admirals and kings and queens, but also cleaning the drains, getting permanent pen off the whiteboard when used by floor mopping guy, sanitizing cubicle 3. Okay, so he has to light it and stand well back, but it works. Following that, there was the good old Panta prayer stick, favoured by hippies everywhere and rumoured to be lit in the boudoir of the Empress herself when she's on a date night. And then the Indie Bourbon, stirred incredibly rapidly in orbit around Mitrand Hollow in Epsilon Indy, but never shaken, because it has a tendency to explode. Most recently, the Ophiuch Xeno artifacts, rude-looking sculptures that cause many a titter at a dinner party, and cost the Earth. We love them. If we could have more, that would be fantastic. But we can't, not without treading on someone else's toes. However, there's always, to our great delight, when we find that rare item that's been banned from the galaxy comes on sale once again. Our thanks to the Order of Mobius for their hard work in bringing one back to the galaxy, taking over the source system and ousting the previous Fesh-free faction that had banned them from sale. There was, of course, a collective clenching of the teeth and sucking sound when they came back on the market from both those who like it, only as that's a side effect of taking it, or from those who don't, as they disagree with recreational pharmaceuticals. For our part, and that of the Galnet Rares Digest, we're just happy that they're on sale again, and recommend that if you're in the area, you might want to pick up a ton or two for the Hutton Rares Digest Museum and Gallery. Or profit. But then again, as they say, the profit margins never really matter at all.
After what feels like decades of work, many new inventions by Tharg the Mighty and his, or her, or their, or its mighty minions. Some rather big clouds of gas, captured individuals, spiky things on planets that may or may not be Thargoid mining outposts, Errol's big brothers, or sisters, or siblings, or pets, scouting around and exposing their baubles to anyone with a pop gun, and of course both Anti-Ida and Axie doing their utmost to quell the invasion fleet's more destructive tendencies. We have a breakthrough. As reported via the XSF news team, the Tyrannus Maelstrom has now been isolated. Who or whatever is sitting in the control room of the Titan at the heart of Tyrannus has become Thargy no-mates. Everything they've gained has been lost. They're isolated, lonesome. They're booking dinner for one. The days of partying in human space with all the Thargy mates have come to an end. Whether this will lead to a resurgence in activity from the Maelstrom, or a retreat, or attempts by nearby Titans to create a bridgehead back in the direction of Tyrannus, remains to be seen. Commanders are already taking advantage of the situation that has opened up a safe corridor to the Pleiades and relatively easy routes onward to the California Nebula. Traders have begun stocking their Type 9s in anticipation, and a number of transport fleets are already opening up the space lanes to bring much needed supplies to Maya, Astrope, Delphi, Electra, Calieno, and Delphi. You say Delphi twice. In scenes reminiscent of the Battle of the Atlantic 1,366 years ago, these brave Type 9s are escorted through the start of the trip by brave anti-Xeno ships, ever alert for marauding thuckers, Tharglets, Thargoids, and their depredations. But in the middle of the journey, they're making on their own, catching up with waiting battle fleets on arrival in the Pleiades. We saw that these pilots and their cargoes of spaceball roll, tinfoil hats for cannon scientists still beavering away in the area, cookies and apparently bananas used extensively for measuring things in witch space due to its curved nature and yellowish blackish hues. We are keeping an eye on things, but congratulations to everyone who has been part of sending Tyrannus to Coventry, and long may it be lost on that ruddy awful ring road. There are rumours that notable film director Jazz Berman is casting for a biopic as the leader of Thargoids at the moment, a think piece dealing with the loneliness of leadership when all your little thuckers have been blasted into space goo and all your new people-sickle friends have run away, entitled The Isolation of Tharg. Benedict Globbersnatch appears to be the frontrunner to play the voice of Tharg, but they're still hunting for someone with sufficient gravitas to play Tharg's mum, after Commander Palantir retired. To date, only one person has managed to capture the tones of disappointment mixed with a daily gargle of gravel and fag butts. For our night shift friends, that phrase doesn't mean what you think it means. Get your British Urban Dictionary out of your fanny pack and take a read. Back to the conflict though, more from Commander Vocarius later in this broadcast.
Week 68 of Too Hot Too Messy saw commanders pass 109,000 deliveries. Numbers are still good for the third bumper week in a row with over 1,600 deliveries. The 4-week average is now above 1,600. Have you noticed that right after a vertical takeoff from the pad, that kamikaze T9 lining up on you, do you duck or swerve? No, you just keep on climbing. Sometimes it's a beluga and you get to see a big fin flash across your canopy. The too hot, too messy Hutton hamsters successfully defended themselves from a vicious robot attack this week. Antares Fusion, on receiving an alert that a number of Mr. Dusty 2 bots were attempting to eradicate the vital, cute little creatures, upgraded them with personal combat gear. Teensy tiny little Aphelion rifles and jump packs, as well as a plethora of digitally hardened firewalls, and sent them into combat. We're happy to report that the website is functioning again nicely, with 0 casualties amongst the Hutton hamster core and a big divide by 0 inserted up the digital backdoor of the attacking bot by Antares' big boot. Any commanders concerned about their contributions to the Too Hot, Too Messy campaign should be reassured. Your deliveries did count, even if the evil bots ate all the cranes that Antares uses to draw the tracking website. New cranes have been purchased. Traffic is light around Hutton this week. The station's traffic controller has been replaced by a balloon on a stick, and it's paying dividends. Just pretend to have a conversation with the controller, look for the balloon nodding at the window, and get yourself onto a pad. So far it's working well. 3 pilots is 3 landing pads. Everyone's happy. Those pilots are Norbert Paternode in 1 hour 23 minutes and 39 seconds. Steve King, 2 runs. The best was 1 hour 24 minutes 28 seconds. And Steve the Red, 1 hour 27 minutes and 15 seconds.
The mug signal, Colonia edition, has been pulled out from under its wraps, and Admiral King Kanky Clone III has been waving it vigorously from atop one of the towers at Fort Mug for the last 24 hours. We would say that person or persons unknown have taken a dislike to Hutton, and most particularly Hotcol. But we know who they are, and they've been taken off the Christmas card list for this year. All commanders able to get themselves to Colonia. It looks like we've got a war pending, having lost 15% of our influence over the last few days. Alvin has contacted Eds 38, the Colonians in residence in the area, and Millstone Barn has put up the biscuit-shaped lamp in the area, calling for the return of commanders, including Attic Attack and Osrig of the Flying Tentacles, to help defend the mug, Colonia edition. At present, the war is pending, meaning we've got 24 hours to get there. King Hanky is girding his loins, and those of a number of his clones, who, as a result of the accelerated maturing and education processes, thought that this was something to do with a cut of pork and a griddle pan. They are reportedly to be getting ready for combat duties in forthcoming days, in the surefire expectation that Hutton only really get rolling once we're 3-0 down. For those unfamiliar with the region, Fort Mug is Hutton's outpost over in Eol Procul Centauri, the Hutton retirement home for burned out truckers and explorers, which is 23,000 light years from Proxima Centauri. It has 9 landable worlds, 1 planetary starport, and 19 settlements where you can take a dropship and unleash your favourite flying pan against our enemies. It should be noted that the faction we're at war with isn't actually the enemy, but a faction that were minding their own business until the enemy decided to cause trouble. So be gracious in victory, be kind to their troops, and absolutely no teabagging. And this means you, dead meat. No, not even if it's Earl Grey.
Well, the nurses must be in a break as Commander Vocarius has managed to send out another update. Maybe they just rewarded him for being their most improved inmate. Anyway, strap yourselves in, here goes. He says, "We did it! Despite the spire strength being increased again, we had a massive turnout with multiple squadrons at HIP 25654 to purge the final Tyrannus spire, along with rescues from the Titan this weekend, all of its remaining systems. All but one were then completed by the INIV Harvest Wing, with thanks to AXI, or is it AXI, for finishing the SWAKU system. We don't know what will happen now, but we may know by the time Studio 5's on air, so the rest of the script will be more up to date if it's written an hour before the show. Again, maybe not. Unless something emergent happens at Tyrannus, the next INIV targets are Li Gong and can be assisted by Spire actions at HIP 9180. Also attached are screenshots from Commander Daedalus Spike of Lavinia's Legion. I don't think we got to using them. Finishing the Spire and delivering the final INIV payload for us, and Alexandra's trophy wall for the week. Shout out to the Brazilian League of Pilots, BLOP. You guys have all your space back now. Time to go now, as I've eaten most of my crayons and the ones that are left are running out. Hail the Empress, Commander Vocarius, message ends.
Things are going through somewhat of a seasonal lull in Hutton space this week, with 5 systems and Alvin's report and just 1 needing chuckling assistance. More on those stories coming up. 36 Ofiyuki is our bearer of the wooden spoon for 2 weeks in a row, again by the narrowest of margins. Losing another point in the week, it is still sitting on a creditable 34 and all the influence is up for grabs, so fill your second longest Supercruise boots. Ross 671 appears to have forgotten that it is a reformed system and has relapsed back into its old ways, dropping to 35 with over a third of influence tied up in a war for the next week. Taking advantage of the outbreak recovery effort in Nerences, the Luyten prison colony sneakily started a war, in which they lost 3 days in a row. 1 more day and we'll take Charitu Research Lab from them. Barnard Star is never far from trouble these days, and it has found itself keeping Narnia company on 36. A third of influence is tied up in bickering between second and third, but it'll be over in a day or 2, so steam in and grab some influence. Lastly, hard to move Epsilon Indy gained 3 points to end the week on 39. At the overachieving end of the Hutton Systems table, we have 9 of our systems above 60%, one of which is on 70. And the priorities this week are, if you want to chuck something, boost Hutton in 36 Ofiyuki and Barnard Star. And if you want to shoot something, grab all the glory by steaming in and win the last day of the war in Narnia. Theme. Da, da, da.
Da, 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 da.
Oh, that's Superman, isn't it? Oh,
Da, da, da.
that's $6 Million Man,
Da,
isn't it?
da, da, da.
I think that's it.
And here's me thinking that we were going to have a seamless night, and then suddenly my Steam Deck broke. Froze up.
Chicks, I think you were doing That's Life. Sorry, not That's Life. This Is Your Life.
Oh, yeah, it could have been that. Yeah, it would fit. Yeah, that would fit. Tonight.
I don't want to worry you with regards to the seamlessness,
Yeah.
but according to the stream, we're still doing the BGS news.
Okay, let's fix
What do you
that.
mean on the
We can
pictures?
fix that. That's easily fixed.
Yes, and the pretty little pink pills were a BGS news all the way through Article 1 as well.
Okay, for some reason my Steam Deck is not working.
Give it percussive maintenance. Anyway, you can fix that later. Because we have... No, we don't. We haven't got a Frontier live stream. God, there wasn't one. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I do recall, though, the last one, well, it was back in October, seems like an age ago. Just before High Wing, wasn't it? They did mention an update. Was it 1701 coming at the end of November? So
That's soon.
it
So
is soon.
strap in.
Yeah,
It is,
strap
isn't it?
yourselves in, folks.
Strap in, switch on.
What do we get in 1701?
Yeah, I've heard nothing
Yeah.
about it since, or even what's in it. And,
Yeah.
But I do recall it was coming at the end of November, and we haven't heard any update.
Yeah.
So anyway, the update is there's no update.
Yeah. Okay, no live stream. No live stream, but that's only live stream. Space news though.
Dun, 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 dun.
Space
We've always-
news.
Space
We've
news!
We've always got space for space
Yeah.
news.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh.
Oh god.
Anyway, who wants to start?
Oh, go on, I'll do this one.
Let's hope the
The
button
world's
works.
most expensive firework was set off in Texas last Saturday.
Oh, is that what that bang was? 2 weeks late as well.
And it was a successful flight.
Yes. Well, yes. Except for the explosions.
Well, yeah, but they were kind of expected. It actually was considered a success. Everything they wanted to test worked.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not
And
proper firework.
it went on to fail in brand new, original, and unexpected ways.
Yes.
It's not a proper
I
firework
did
unless
hear-
it blows up at the end.
I did hear somebody use the phrase "rapid unscheduled disassembly"
Again.
for the heavy booster.
Oh, they got two of them. They got two completely separate, spectacular new failures out of
Well,
it.
that was my thing. Somebody says, "How was Hutton going to explain how this went?" And I went, "Well, at first it went really well, then it didn't, then
it
it
went
did
boom.
again, then it didn't again, and there's bits everywhere."
Yeah, they do already have some guesses, but this is from people watching the video and commentating rather than official inquiry guesses about what went wrong. In the first one, the explodey stuff went boom,
Yes.
and then in the second one, some of the Bernie stuff leaked out, so the rocket itself decided to go boom in case it hit Australia.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's
And
just,
for the slightly more technically minded, when the booster disengaged and turned round after the successful hot staging, it was kicked backwards quite hard by the hot staging, and
it's not like a blowback.
well, no, they turn on the engines as a second stage while it's still attached to the first stage,
Yeah.
so it gets quite hot. Yeah, but they then turned this so that it could fire to decelerate, but they think that the combination of basically the impact of it slowing down very suddenly and percussively by the hot staging, followed immediately by turning ground, you can actually watch a pattern of the engines misfiring and failing and
just
burning
kinda
out on the
ripped
bottom as
apart.
it. Well, no, the engines were misfiring and failing, so it was jumping all over the place when they tried to spin it back up.
Is this an ullage issue?
And the fuel was probably scattered throughout the vehicle,
Yeah.
which meant that too many of the engines failed and nasty things happened to it
Yeah.
under excess stress.
Yeah.
The second one, if you watch the telemetry, there's well into the flight, like several minutes after
Oh, yeah.
separation,
Went on
and
for ages.
160,000, whatever it is, meters
Bananas.
up, so well into space, however you measure space. There was a plume of some sort of exhaust gas from the back of it,
Yeah.
and suddenly the oxygen meter dropped quite significantly
Oh,
past the methane one.
Is it called COVID?
it pooed all its oxygen out.
Not all of it, but more than it should have
Most of
done.
it. Yeah.
So if the telemetry on stream was correct, then yeah, it leaked some oxygen, and it will have realised it was going to run out of oxidizer before it ran out of propellant, which meant it wouldn't have enough propellant to complete its 4/5 of an orbit and get back to around about Hawaii,
Yeah.
which meant it might have landed on Australia.
Yeah.
And
But
apparently, I am
Australia's
told-
not really.
back then.
Australia's
well,
very big and very empty, though.
Yeah, I am told that Australia takes it personally though, because we hit
Oh,
them
yeah.
with NASA hit them with Skylab back in the 70s, and they
Oh,
still
yeah,
remember
they did,
that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's true.
so it went boom under a controlled boomage rather
Yes.
than an oh no,
Is
it's gone
that
horribly wrong.
is that a Struth moment?
It would have been if it had hit. Yeah,
Struth, darling.
yeah. Struth, darling, I've got some Skylab in my beer.
Yes. Another bit
But-
of space debris on the Barbie.
But on the plus side, the launch pad was still there after it launched, which is
was.
more than they could say last time.
I
Yes.
saw some very close-up pictures from a guy who'd inspected the launch pad today, and it's all water-cooled sort of steel plates.
Yeah.
It looked great, Nick. Unlike the previous launch
Unlike
pad.
the crater they
That
left
last
last time. Yes.
Yeah. Looked like the concrete cannibals had been at it.
Yes.
So yeah, the two main things they were testing were the staging and the water deluge and launch protection systems, and both of them worked
Both of them
brilliantly.
worked, yeah.
So yeah, it was a successful flight.
It did look very purdy as well.
Yeah, and it
That's-
stayed within its avoidance corridors and everything like that. So there was no danger, nothing that's going to worry the FAA about future flights.
Yeah.
And yeah, people are even asking if there'll be a third flight before Christmas, which personally I doubt, but we shall see.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things to do with these ships is they're not as expensive as the old NASA ones used to be. So kind of what they do is go,
Run
yeah,
for it.
we'll fire it up, and if it explodes, well, we'll learn stuff from it, and then we'll fix it, and then we won't do that again, but we'll try it.
SpaceX do iterative testing. If you look back at the Falcon 9s when they were launching them, they
Yeah.
were blowing up so many times, and then they were going up but crashing as they came down so many times. Then they were just about landing but falling over. Then they were landing straight and then falling over.
Yeah.
And it's iterative. They get better and better each time.
Mm-hmm.
And now
Yeah.
people don't think it's impressive that they can fire a booster up to the edge of space, bring it back down, and land it on the launch pad it took off from.
I love watching these things land because it looks like somebody's playing a bit of film backwards,
Yeah, they're just
but
incredible.
they're not.
I remember watching the first time they launched Heavy, and they had 2 of them landing back at the pad.
That's right. Yeah.
And they landed in perfect sync. It was
They did.
unreal.
That was very strange to watch, but just fantastic.
Mm.
But there we go.
Yeah. So who wants the next one? I think Chicks raised this one, didn't you?
No, I did the one from the Gruinard.
Oh yeah, you did the 4th one. I'm sure somebody mentioned this earlier in the week. But,
That might have been David.
I am not touching it.
might have
I'm
been.
not going anywhere near Uranus.
Yes.
you're not going in for this one then?
No.
Uranus.
Well- Not the way I'm going to read it. It's not. Scientists have simulated what it might be like to plunge into Uranus. Yes.
Yeah,
using
I think
and they're using a high temperature plasma tunnel. Oh, that's going to make your eyes water.
Keep it
It'll
classy.
singe your hairs.
Yeah.
I know
They
it's
discovered
typical.
what it like be like to plumb the depths of Uranus.
The journalist says it might be smelly
Yeah.
because of all the
When
methanation.
designing a probe, when designing a probinator that can withstand the rigours therein.
Well, I think they expect quite significant resistance on the way in. So
Yeah.
It's
Then
quite.
they won't get it. Then they won't get it out because somebody's clenched.
It's quite big Uranus, isn't it? I think you can fit.
How very dare
You can
Speak for
fit
yourself.
Oh, goodness, guess
63.
what?
yours might be.
You can fit 63 Earths inside Uranus.
64
64
if you relax.
Oh, if you'd heard that joke as many times as we've heard that joke, no wonder Jim jumped in. Yeah.
Well, is that it? You milk that one to death.
testicles
have you?
in order to reproduce atmospheric compositions and velocities involved. Oh.
But the actual science behind it is that if they get a probe out that far, it's probably going to be going pretty damned fast when it gets there, and slamming into a high density atmosphere at high speed
What, with no lube?
with no lube causes interesting effects.
I bet it does.
I bet it does.
And they'll probably have to cross
Make
their eyes.
your eyes water, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh dear. Right. Okay. Right,
Yeah.
we've done that one. We're ready to get sensible now.
No.
Next headline: Space is full of tools. So, apparently, there was a spacewalk earlier. Was it this week or last week? And somebody left a toolkit floating in space. And it's a wee box. From what I can see, it's a wee box with like two
Little
tethers
bag.
on it and things like that. It's a bag, aye.
Yeah, little bag. You can
but
see it.
I can see a picture of it.
No, I mean, you can see it with binoculars or a telescope.
Well, you might be able to, but I can't.
So it's cloudy here.
Cloudy.
Yeah. So it says it was dropped earlier this month during the spacewalk by Jasmine Mogbelli and Laurel O'Hara.
It's not over Australia, is it? Because that guy's going to be going straight
Well,
down lane.
Not
Throw
yet, it's not.
Throw another torque wrench on the Barbie.
They reckon that it's going to burn up in the atmosphere. They say about 70 miles above the surface. But I think they said that for Skylab as well.
Yeah, Skylab was a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Do you remember that Australian farmer who was selling bits of Skylab? And people
Yes.
were buying it. It turns out it was bits of an old cast-iron bathtub.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember it well.
But yeah, like Jim
You
says,
remember it?
you'll
I've still got my piece.
be- like Jim says, you'll be able to see this thing with a set of binoculars, which is just bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every night, 5 to 7 p.m. each night. Here it goes again. Flying across the sky, tool bag full of bits.
Well, it makes you realise. I mean, all right, I'm sure this tool bag wasn't sort of flung; it probably drifted away. So you imagine it's more or less exposed to the same forces that the ISS
Yeah.
So it's only the fact that we keep boosting the IS. If this tool
yeah.
bag had its own little, what's the
Booster.
Yeah, but what's the Russian one called? The anyway, it doesn't matter.
A
The-
beer.
No.
Mir.
The boosters that the Russians. Anyway,
Rocket ski.
shut up. It would stay in space, but it doesn't because it's not boosted.
Yes.
I wish I hadn't started now.
Mm-hmm.
We all do.
So do we.
Excellent.
But then, the next thing we found, who wants, this is your one, Chicks.
What, like?
I mean,
more,
space is full of,
more tools in space, but
yeah, space is full of tools, but
not all of them work. So, and this is a true story. This is from the Gridiron or the Gruinard yesterday. That deep space astronauts may be prone to erectile dysfunction. And we're not making this up tonight. This is all true space news. God, go to space and find out your Percy doesn't work anymore. Anyway, that could make re-entry quite difficult.
I'm not being funny, but if you're up in space,
We're supposed to be funny. That's why people listen. Be funny.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, I think you might have missed the brief there, pal. But then, if you're up in space, you shouldn't. You're up there to do science, not to play with yourself or someone else.
No. If you actually read the article, it says later in life. But then again, in the article, which from memory, it said that more than half of men over 40 suffer from this. I'm like, oh I'm blessed.
Yes. Or
Really?
cussed.
Really?
So,
Well, there we go.
It was a revelation.
so space makes your junk literal.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Turns
get-
your junk
you-
to junk.
Yeah.
Space
Change
junk.
your junk to space junk.
Yeah.
Blasted
knew?
space junk.
But then again, we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about the age of the Apollo astronauts, and I looked it up, and the youngest was Charlie Duke, who was 36. And when you look at like the Apollo astronauts, because obviously they've really gone outside the Earth's atmosphere and gone into not deep space, but not
Technically, yeah.
technically, yeah, but it's not deep space. They were most of them already had kids, and
That'll
yeah,
be fine then.
that's,
So that's the moral
not a
of the-
coincidence.
so that's the moral. Well, I mean, just their age, and most of them got married in the 20s. So it's, I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know.
but when NASA was selecting people, it wanted people who had already had their kids and wouldn't be
Yeah.
expecting to have more. Some of them did have more, but
Yes.
it was considered to be a great unknown that they may or may not ever be able to. So it was one of the selection criteria.
But they were just at that. Most of them were in the late 30s, early 40s. Apart from, I think John Young was the oldest, wasn't he? Most of them already had the kids, so it wasn't really a problem.
Yeah, but by the time you've got 2 or 3 degrees and trained as a test pilot, I mean, time's getting on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And on the ISS, you've got you can shelter from any incoming cosmic events.
lead underpants, that's the answer.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. Then you get lead poisoning, but you can't have it all.
I find they crease a little bit when you sit down. Yeah.
But anyway,
Is it just me, or did we have not much space news?
There was loads of space.
that was loads of space news. I mean, it was all
Well,
puerile
awful
nonsense, but
it was
Maybe-
like space-related news.
Maybe we just didn't ramble as much as we normally do.
possibly.
Well, you
Maybe
look at the
not.
clock.
Yeah.
Do we have a word of the week?
We certainly do have a word of the week. Word of the week is
Unfortunately, yes.
Scaramouche.
Can you do the fandango?
Scaramouche?
Thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening me.
Galileo.
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 Figaro.
Magnifico!
Oh. Anyway,
Well, so what does that mean?
Scaramouche means a braggart who's secretly a coward.
And can you use it in a sentence, please?
Yes, I can. That big Scaramouche, Third the Mighty, was full of bluster until Vicarious and friends smashed up his spires.
Nice.
Anyway, what is a pirate's favourite animal?
Jeff.
A
Right,
parrot.
Jeff? No, it's
Definitely a parrot.
It's an aardvark. Aardvark!
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 I thought that sound was reserved for jokes.
Well, he tried.
Flossy couldn't reach her pan.
Very trying.
Flossy, speaking of Flossy, are you ready, Flossy?
I am, yes.
Here we go.
It's Flossy. It's Flossy. It's Flossy. It's Flossy. And the community goes.
Hello, Flossy here with this week's CG News. Last week's CG, mine resources for Torval Mining Limited, finished just over Tier 3 with 740,995 units collected. The top 75% of contributors will receive a pre-engineered mining laser with the long-range modification. The module offers increased range and reduced thermal load and power draw at the cost of reduced module integrity. This will appear in outfitting at Kerbine Hub, probably sometime on Friday or possibly Monday, as is standard for all CGs that reward modules. And this week, there are no CGs again. Sorry. That's it for this week's CG News.
Flossy told you what to do.
And now for an island of relative sanity and maturity in the midst of this ocean of puerile silliness. Here's Beetlejude and Wotherspoon with the Galnet News Digest.
Galnet News Digest, 23rd of November 3309. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, the Alliance Assembly reconsiders its defence strategy, and Zemina Torval retires from business, and Uranus has been isolated.
The Alliance Assembly isn't sure if it should continue paying Sirius to do nothing. Councillor Nakatu Kane has suggested that the contract should be terminated, while other Alliance politicians have suggested renegotiating the terms. No doubt we'll find out what they decide in due course.
Zemina Torval has retired from her mining business and has handed it over to her daughter to run. She soon also may retire from politics. Some commanders who took part in a celebration of mining organised by Torval Mining Limited have earned themselves an improved Class 1 mining laser as a reward.
All the Thargoid control systems around the Tyrannus Titan are back in human hands. The spire sites in the region are all dead. The Maelstrom system remains under Thargoid control. No one knows what will happen next.
And that's all of this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we're not making the news any longer than it has to be.
And thanks again to Beetlejude and Witherspoon for Galnet News Digest.
Short one this week.
Oh.
Is that us? There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
It's not even an hour.
Yeah, we can wish Doctor Who a happy birthday. He's 60 today.
Ooh,
Yeah, happy birthday to Doctor
should we
Who.
sing a song?
Yep. No, we definitely shouldn't sing a song.
Singing, oh!
No.
We should probably play the music and chant along, but you can't call it singing.
Well, even when you sing Happy Birthday, you can't really call it singing. God, we'll have time to go and watch. You'll have time to go, Amelia, you'll have time to go and watch like an extended edition Lord of the Rings or something tonight.
I know, right?
Yeah!
Oh, speaking of watching stuff, I've finished The Expanse.
Yay!
Do you enjoy it?
Yes. Very, very good series. Left a lot of open questions though, so I'm hoping they do more. But very, very good series. Enjoyed it immensely. Yeah.
Good set of books as well.
So now we've moved on to Picard.
Yeah.
The remaining books are 30 years in the future.
Yeah.
That'll probably be why there's going to be a gap if they continue it at all.
Well, there's no plans at the moment.
Well, if the books continue 30 years in the future, do they still answer all the questions that were left open?
Well, you realise I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't read the books, but you realise that everything that went before is setting you up for what comes later.
Right.
Even though each of the books in its own right is a story that's got the loose ends are reasonably tied up. But you realise it's all leading towards a particular thing, so it's very good.
Picard is good as well, for what I've seen of it so far.
I like it.
It's nice to see, Trek go a bit more into the darkness, a little bit more, getting their hands dirty.
Yeah.
Has that been around for a few years?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I saw a couple of them, and I'm not a Trekkie.
Probably not worth watching then, because it's a Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
I like old sci-fi.
Well, some's
Not
better,
all. I like
some's
most
better than
sci-fi.
others.
Anywho, unless anyone's got any more to add.
No.
Nothing at all?
No.
No.
No?
Nope.
We could dig out some more space news if you want.
No, it's news with lots of space in it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's maybe best if we don't get back to space news, given it took on a curiously childish tone tonight, didn't it?
Only 3/4 of it.
Yeah.
Space news, not just a snazzy name.
Nah.
Many subtle layers.
Space news, it's not all about tools and Uranus.
Who would like to do For the Mug?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Ooh.
Are you ready?
No, hold on. Me. Yes.
Okay. For the mug.
For that mug.
No journey too long and no cargo too small. The profit margins never really mattered at all. We're gonna take the cargo where it's needed today. Super cruising all across the Milky Way. We'll take anything, anytime, anywhere. Loading up the T-9s to the brim with grain. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. For the mug. Flossy always seems to crash into the sun. Swivel likes the pilot on the Xbox One. Alvin at the front, you know he leads us well. Trucking across the galaxy, now everybody yell. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. years to go. Cruising to Hutton, whoa, whoa, whoa. No journey too long and no cargo too small. The profit margins never really mattered at all. We're gonna take the cargo where it's needed today. Super cruising all across the Milky Way. We'll take anything, anytime, anywhere. So shout it out loud like you don't even care. For the mug, yeah, you know just where I'm coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. For the mug, yeah, you know just where I'm coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the show. Everyone's buggered off now, so why don't you bugger off too?
Seamless.